Today on That's Based, we're talking the Epstein list. Of course, we're talking the big, beautiful bill. We're talking Elon Musk forming a new political party. We're talking the nastiest people in the world are sharing their opinions on the flooding down in Texas. And then we got a couple other things we're going to cover as well. All that and more today on That's Based. Welcome to That's Based. I'm your host, as always, the Prince of Punching Down, Caleb Salvatore, reporting from somewhere underground. We're laughing our way through the end of days. Brought to you by Outlaw Streamers and our friends over at Blood of Tyrants Wines. If you go to drinkbloodofTyrants.com and use the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show, you're going to save yourself 10% off your order at the checkout. I got two types of wine, both red and white, along with a liquid freedom energy drink. DrinkbloodofTyrants.com with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show. Go save 10% off your order at the checkout. Support the brands that have similar worldviews to us. And then put a little money in my pocket as well. One more time, drinkbloodofTyrants.com with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D. Like the title of the show, you will save 10% off your order at the checkout. Stockholm Mia, the red face of white supremacy's back from our vacation. How are you rested and ready to go?
Yes.
She's ready to roll. She's back with all of her sound effects and hot takes and just ready to continue in our mission to spread misinformation and start petty beefs. That's what this show is about. I think we need to add that to the bio for the show, which is that we're the number one show dedicated to misinformation and petty beefs. No, we are already, I've coined us, we're the official podcast of the Dirtbag Right. Do you know what that is? I just made it up. Or the official podcast, because the Dirtbag Left was something that started back during the Occupy movement. And it was folks that they had the liberal views. Some of them were very liberal. And it was a lot of comics. But it was guys that had like tattoos, and they didn't dress like your typical college art student. They didn't mind saying words like fag and retard. They really went against the phrase. So I'm coining, we're the official podcast of the Dirtbag Right. No one's ever used that phrase before, but I think someone needs to come up with the term for the Kid Rock wing of the Republican Party, and I'm going to coin it. We're the Dirtbag Right. So we'll roll with that. Well, before we get into anything this week, I felt we'd break the show open with this. Gen Z has got a brand new term. This is from fastcompany.com. The thought of one day retiring and no longer having to punch a clock, answer required emails, work long hours, and the other responsibilities of employment is a dream that can get you through the hard moments of work. While retirement typically occurs after completing a career and saving and investing for it, some Gen Z workers are taking unpaid leave when they haven't accrued vacation time, and they're calling it a micro retirement. It's a micro retirement. They're taking unpaid leave. Says Gen Z is using micro retirement to avoid burnout, find greater fulfillment in their work, and enhance their overall well-being. You know, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, Gen Z, but every time I hear stuff about them just being absolute nightmares to work with or to have work under you, it's so hard for me. They truly are. They're one or the other. They're hot or they're cold. Why do they? No, that's called an unpaid vacation, bitch. Where I'm from, if you took it, you either owned your own business or you were a dumbass or you had some type of medical, but that's not even a vacation, really. You're taking a leave of absence for an emergency. What is it with Gen Z and renaming things that we already have names for? If I watch one more TikTok video where they talk about somebody getting unalived or SA'd, I'm going to jump through the phone and strangle the fucking fag on the other side. I'm so tired of it. Why do they do this? Do you know why? Why do they use the words unalived?
To not get reported or something like that. I don't know. Because, well, they say it's because, like, TikTok and stuff like that is, like, super, what do you like cautious or something?
Like censorship.
Yes, yeah. But like other people do it.
I see videos with it all the time.
Yeah, I do too.
Also,
I don't know.
Do you know how pissed off I would be if I got murdered and some little twink is sitting there with his latte on his TikTok channel going, and Caleb Salvatore was unalived by a rapist? I'm like, no, fuck that. Give me the dignity of describing the horrific things that happened to me. If you're going to do a true crime podcast and grift money off of my death, can we also talk about that? About how gross true crime podcasts are? I mean, these people make millions of dollars talking about horrific things in gross detail that happen to people. It's so okay. All right, we'll be done with that. Let's jump into the current state of the left real quick. If I can get my fucking iPad.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
All right, this week on the current state of the left, we are going to play our favorite game, which liberal most belongs in a mental institution. Our first contestant is somebody on the 4th of July had some big opinions about Trump's big, beautiful bill. Go ahead and check this one out.
I hear they're holding a ceremony so that he can sign this big, beautiful bill into law. Do you think it's going to be outside? No, they wouldn't. But like on the 4th of July, it'd be a cool time to do it. If anyone's like on the fence, we would support you. 100%. That'd be real nice.
We know what she's talking about when she says it, right? I support her going to the gym. You notice how she, like, we played another video where some girl was implying that someone should shoot Trump, saying that she'll send him nude photographs while he's in jail. Notice how she didn't offer that because she knows she has nothing to offer in that department. She said if you're on the fence, I mean, if she sat on the fence, it would break it. She has no choice but to be on one side or the other. How much do you think Secret Service hates this? I mean, think about it. You join Secret Service thinking you're going to be this badass going around on these crazy missions, jumping in front of a bullet to protect the president. And all you're doing is going around leaving notes on the doors of ugly college girls or their parents' houses, for that matter. That's like 90% of what the Secret Service has been doing since Donald Trump won back in November, is they're just going around to fat chicks who are like 29 years old and live in their parents' houses because they have a worthless college degree that they can't use for anything. And they leave notes on the door handle saying, hey, you threatened the president on the internet, give us a call. And then the parents have to get involved because, I mean, like, look, if my 16-year-old threatens to kill the president on the internet, I'm going to be mad. But he's a 16-year-old, like, we'll deal with it, but it's not the end of the world. If my 30-year-old who's living with me threatens to kill the president, we're having a whole other conversation. I mean, imagine that. Can you imagine that conversation, Mia, of the 32-year-old live-in daughter with her parents when the Secret Service comes to knock on the door saying, hey, your adult daughter threatened the president? I mean, just why can't you be like the Nielsen's daughter down the street? She's a pharmacist. I just the level of disappointment. What would you rather your adult son do? What would you rather you find out he was doing? Shooting heroin or threatening to kill the president on the internet, or your adult daughter? What would you rather find out?
I mean, both of them are pretty bad.
Both are bad, but one's like a disease. The other is a thing where it's like, you need to find something better to do with your time.
I mean, if they're shooting heroin, at least you can, like, help them, take them to rehab. You know, work with them.
Yeah.
But there's really no helping them if they're like that unstable.
If they're that far gone, the only hope they have is if you take the phone and the internet away from them. And let me tell you, that's going to be harder to separate someone who's that far gone from their phone and from their internet than it will be to separate a drug addict from his needle. I'm dead serious. I wish I was kidding. These people are, I mean, look, I'm addicted to my phone. I'll be the first one to tell you. but not like these people are. These people are so far down the rabbit hole to the point, and again, it just shows the lack of consequences that they've ever suffered in life. I guarantee you the parents aren't going to do anything with these people when the Secret Service comes up, because if you had ever suffered consequences in life before, you wouldn't be on there making smug little comments implying that you wanted to kill the president. Now, if you had like a legitimate mental illness where you were like full-blown schizo, that's a little bit different. But these are just privileged little pricks, or in her case, privileged big pricks, that have never been held accountable for anything they've ever done in their
piece of shit.
Whether it was their parents, whether it was their teachers, whether it's their boss, whoever the case may be, nobody's ever held them accountable for shit in life. So they feel like they can go on here and do these things because consequences aren't real and the internet's not a real place. Well, the internet is not a real place until you cross that line and make a real threat. So that's your first contestant. This is the second contestant. At a pride parade toward the end of last month, they were giving out de-baptisms. Go ahead and look at this video.
Dry the water from your head you never consented to. It'll let guilt evaporate and shame fall away. You are one, you are whole, and you belong. Congratulations.
And of course, she's built like Vince Wilfork, too. Here, I got a challenge, guys. Find a liberal woman that's not built like an offensive lineman or completely insane. I'll give $100 to the first person that can find a liberal woman on this planet that doesn't fit that description. And you can't fake it. You can't bring this hot girl from your college that doesn't give a shit about politics because I'm liberal. I need proof. We need tweets from 6 years ago. Because I know I'm going to win because you can't find one. So that's the de-baptism there. They're blow-drying people who were baptized as kids or later on in life that want to take it back. And that's the kind of shit that we saw when we went and documented the No Kings rally down in Council Bluffs a couple of weeks ago. These people are mental. They think this is normal, healthy, productive behavior to do these things. The de-baptism, you know what I find to be hilarious is their inability to comprehend the irony of what they're doing. They're taking a blow dryer and drying someone off of their baptismal water that they got when they were a kid. Because get this, Mia, they couldn't have consented to it when they were a child, when they got baptized. A child couldn't. Now, you want to cut your dick off, that's fine. You can consent to that. We'll give you all the pills you need. But having a little bit of water thrown on your head by a priest, that's too far. They don't get it. They don't see the irony of it. And you know what's funny? Do you know what all of those people would do if I went to that de-baptism station that they had there and pointed out the irony of it? Mia, what do you think they would do? Do you think they would go bar for bar with me in a debate and break down my point with pinpoint logic? Or do you think they'd start screaming and get violent? Which one do you think they'd do?
They'd get unhinged and start yelling.
Absolutely. They would go nuts. They would absolutely not try to argue with me because they have no argument because they're retarded. That's what it boils down to.
I'm kind of retarded.
3/4 of the registered Democrats in this country, and this is a fact backed up by science, 3/4 of the registered Democrats in this country right now, 55 years ago, would have qualified to be put in an insane asylum. They would have taken one look at them and thrown them in an institution. 75% of them. The science, I ran a study myself based on my personal experiences, but 3/4 of them would have gone to the nut hut at first glance from a psychiatric doctor, and now we let these lunatics roam the streets, and we wonder why we have so many problems in this country. I think it would be a great start if they just went down the party registrations and started doing psych evals of everyone who was a registered Democrat. I think it would save us a lot of problems because a lot of people would be put away. Okay, we got one more here. One more. This was recorded on the 4th of July. There was a liberal woman who felt that she would make an ominous threat to conservatives out there. It's almost like she's trying to come off like a movie villain here. Go ahead, check this out.
While you guys are watching your fireworks and listening to all your big booms, I just want to remind you that this is what it could sound like if America goes to war on our soil. If you're comfortable and confident in celebrating your freedom while thinking about that, by all means, enjoy your fireworks. Enjoy your fireworks. Happy Independence Day.
September, of course. What is she trying to do there besides look like a horse? What's she trying to do there? What's up with the ominous? Hey, sweetheart, have you taken a look in the mirror? You're not exactly this imposing figure. You making these little, this is what war would sound like. As if she's going to be on the front lines shooting the guns off, right? They understand that in a civil war, our side absolutely dog walks them, right? Certainly not her. She's not stepping foot on the battlefield. The only thing I'm worried about that girl doing is falsely accusing one of my friends of rape. That's the only thing any of you have to be concerned about with that girl. The fat one, I mean, she might like trip and fall over on you and you'll at least be out of the fight. But that one's not doing jack squat. You know, that one's on like, not her, but that type of liberal woman is on 7 different types of fucking antidepressants and all these crazy medications just to function like a regular human being. Doesn't even realize that's what's making her so crazy in the first place. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, RFK, I'm going to laugh because we're going to see these younger generations become more and more conservative because RFK Jr. is making a big push to change the conversation when it comes to mental health so that doctors will at least be required to try making people talk it out, making people make healthier lifestyle choices in terms of diet and exercise and how they spend their free time, telling people maybe you should cut back on your video games and your porn and your weed before they give them pills and see if that helps. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to help because I know it works, because I've seen it work on multiple people, including myself. When that happens, you're going to see less and less liberals. Mark my words, in 20 years, you will see more and more conservative young generations coming up. And it won't just be because you robbed them of their childhood during COVID. It'll be because they weren't put on these psychiatric meds that make them crazy. And when people become more crazy, we know they become inherently more liberal. All right. Mia, which liberal most belongs in a mental institution? The fatty, the deep baptism folks, or the fireworks supervillain?
I think the debaptism.
I agree. I think they take it because it's just overall unhinged. You know what I mean? I mean, you've got privileged drug addict. Well, one's a McDonald's addict. The other one's on probably 16 different types of pills. But like privileged addicts sitting there talking nonsense that they're never actually going to be able to follow through on, and they know it, versus just unhinged lunatics with the debaptism. So I agree on that. Congratulations to the debaptism folks. You are the liberals who most belong in a mental institute. As we know, most, if not all, liberals belong in the mental institutions. You guys just happen to belong in one more than the rest this week. That has been our intro segment. Stay tuned. We're talking Epstein next. All right, and we are back. Before we get into our lead topic, shout out to our sponsors at Firecracker Farm, firecracker.farm, not.com.org.net, firecracker.farm with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D. Like the title of the show, you'll save 10% off your order at the checkout on hot salt. Hot salt is a grand old spice. It's a combination of Mediterranean sea salt, scorpion pepper, ghost pepper, and Carolina Reaper. It's been a little bit. I'm not in the rhythm of doing this. I haven't done this ad in over a week now. Hot salt goes great on everything. You can throw it on popcorn, on chicken, on margaritas. You can't go wrong. If you go to firecracker.farm and use the promo code BASED, you'll save 10% off your order at the checkout. It's made on a family farm in the good old US of A with love. One more time, it's firecracker.farm with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D. Like the title of the show, you'll save 10% off your order at the checkout. All right, let's talk Jeffrey Epstein. for the last time. This is it. We're done talking about it after this because the president said he never existed. That's the narrative they're rolling with. I'm only half kidding. Last week, the U.S. Department of Justice, or Monday, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide, and they confirmed that no client list exists. They've also stated they have no plans to release any further documents related to the case, effectively closing the door on the calls for more transparency in the investigation. That's what I voted for. Right there, to just gaslight, because we didn't get gaslit by the federal government enough over the last 4 years. We needed more of it from a new administration. We needed to be gaslit. And I know there's going to be people taking the victory lap, even though I told you on election night that this show is not going to be the Trump ball washing hour. I voted for him because I like his policies better than Kamala's, but I also told you I had some hesitations with Trump. Nothing's changed. I haven't sold out. I'm not on the payroll for anybody. You can add Gene Stothert to who I'm on the payroll for allegedly next now. I get that. That's what I'm hearing now. Can't go into detail on that, though. I'm not on anyone's payroll, except you guys when you tune in. But I told you guys that when back during or after the election happened, that we weren't just going to sit here and ride Trump's nuts every week. When he did things we liked, we'd applaud him for it. And when he did things we didn't like, we'd criticize him for it. Well, I voted for Trump for 3 main reasons. There were other things I liked better about him when it came from, to a policy perspective than Kamala Harris. But there were 3 real reasons that I voted for Donald Trump. The 3 main reasons. Number 1 was he was promising to make the 2017 tax cuts permanent, whereas Kamala Harris was promising to let them expire. We'll talk about the nitty-gritty of those later on in trending this week. But so that passed. He signed it. We're good. We got that. That's number 1. We're not going to see a big tax jump going into 2026. The second thing I voted for him for was I thought he was going to end the foreign wars. Now, he hasn't done that. He has, to his credit, because I believe in nuance, you've got one side just absolutely freaking out, saying that we need to send more money and weapons to Ukraine and Israel and all these places. And then the other side saying he's not doing enough, but I actually can use nuance and I can see how he's trying to navigate these situations. I didn't like the way he overpromised, and I criticized him on that during the campaign. But I still feel like, at least with him, he wants to end the wars, whereas the previous administration only cared about fanning the flames of them. So while I'm not thrilled with how this has gone, I'm certainly not writing off the war thing. And then the last thing was border security, which he's done a phenomenal job with. Illegal border crossings are at an all-time low right now. And we're rounding up a lot of the dangerous folks that snuck into this country. The Epstein thing was not one of the things I voted for him for. It was a nice addition. Like when you go out to a nice restaurant and it's your birthday and they give you a little cake for free. You didn't go there for the cake, but you're not going to turn it down. It was that kind of thing. Well, the problem was I wasn't expecting him to make it a spectacle. I thought they'd get in there and just, it'd be more of the same. I didn't think that they would come out and make this big deal about we've got the Epstein list and we're going to release it. And then just talk about it for months and then go, never mind, it doesn't exist. Never mind. Mia, how would you like it if I, 6 months leading up to your birthday, told you I got you the best birthday present ever? And weekly, I would remind you of how great this birthday present was. And then your birthday comes and I don't give you anything. And you're like, hey, are you going to give me my birthday present? And I'm like, just give me 2 more weeks. I got to review some things. Give me 2 more weeks. And 2 weeks go by. And I'm like, look, I didn't realize it was going to be this complicated. I need more time. And then another month goes by and you're like, hey, so when are you going to give me that birthday present? And I go, what are you talking? I never got you a birthday present. What are you talking about? I mean, how I would be the biggest asshole in the world if I did that, right? Well, that's what the Trump administration is doing to us.
Honestly, I'd be like, oh, maybe I just imagined it.
Yeah. See, they're hoping that we're all going to pull a Mia with this. The list never existed. Never mind this video from U.S. Attorney Alina Habba a couple months ago.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway. We don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Kash and Pam, there will be accountability.
Yeah, there's a real problem with accountability. That's right. We take it halfway, but we've never taken it home. That was their critique of the previous administration, which, by the way, was a fair critique because the previous administration did that all the time. And now they're just doing more of the same. Check out this next clip from Attorney General Pam Bondi on one of her 73 Fox News appearances. Does this woman work? She's on Fox News every day. How does she have time to take all these interviews? But this is Pam Bondi in one of, before this whole debacle on one of her, hundreds of Fox News appearances in the last month. Go ahead.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
The list is on her desk. How did the list go from on her desk to gone? Does anyone can anyone tell me that? How the list went from on her desk to not existing? Is this like my dog ate my global pedophile list? Is that what we're seeing here? I mean, you guys try that with your boss. If you've gone Monday morning, if you've got something you've been working on for a long time, and he asked you, "Hey, what's the status of that product?" Go there, or of that project. Go, there was no project. What are you talking about? We never did any of that. I never promised you I would do any of that. I mean, just the level of gaslighting here. Guys, this is a huge black eye. This is a huge black eye for this administration. This is their worst debacle yet. There's all the controversy about the tariffs and they didn't cut enough money and there was the Elon thing and yada, yada, yada. That's all fine and dandy. This was their worst, by far, worst debacle yet. It's not even close. Because here's my thing. This whole thing just feels sloppy. That's the best word I can use to describe it. Because even if you're going to do a cover-up, you have to feed the people something, right? There's got to be a few fall guys that you can take down. You're telling me there's not some Wall Street banker that's like a mid-level guy. He's worth a couple $1,000,000, but nobody knows who the hell he is. He can be replaced like that. There's not some former congressman you can go drag out of his house and make a big spectacle for the national media. I'm not saying you got to take Bill Gates. I think they should take everybody down. I'm just talking from the perspective of someone trying to do a cover-up. They couldn't even go get one person. No, it just didn't exist. None of them. There was nobody. Nobody. It's... I don't know what to say. at this point. I think what you saw here is we found out where we are on the pecking order. We being the people. The millions of us that are sitting here screaming, saying, hey, I want to know who the pedophiles are that secretly run this country. We all take a back seat to the elites. We got these people, and this is really what I think happened. I think two things happened. Number one, I think they were using it as blackmail. The intelligence agencies were. And they didn't want to release it because then they wouldn't be able to use it anymore. Number two, I think people sat them down and said, you don't understand the names that are on this list and what taking them down is going to send us into a second depression. The economic and political fallout that would come from this would send us into another depression. I think that's what happened. And I think they got scared. Because I think people like Kash Patel and Bongino, they go and they talk a bunch of shit. And when they get into office, they go, oh, yeah, that's what you're going to do? The people, the bureaucrats that have been there longer than any presidential administration, they go, that's what you're going to do? You're going to release this list? Oh, yeah, tough guy? Here's what would happen if you did that. And they show them all the names on the list. That's what I think happened there. And we found out that we take a back seat to the elites, to their desires. What we, the people who voted them into office, want, what we want takes a back seat to protecting the elites. And that's disgusting. And that's indefensible. And I'm seeing TDS is a two-way street, guys. I'm seeing people say that, well, so what if Trump's defending pedophiles? It's fine. No, guys, it's inexcusable. I even saw one guy speculate that Trump is a pedophile, but since he's married, he probably keeps his hands off and he doesn't act on it anymore, and that's why it's okay. First off, I don't think Trump's a pedophile. I don't think that Trump is on the list. I don't buy that excuse. Elon Musk said Steve Bannon was on the list. It's ridiculous. Elon, there's pictures of you with Ghislaine Maxwell. I would shut the fuck up if I were you. I don't think Trump would have made it a central issue to his campaign if he were on the list. You don't come in making a big deal about the Epstein list and then not release it if you're on it, right? You can answer questions when you're asked about it, but you don't come in going, we're going to release the list if you're on it, because you don't want to draw attention to that. This would be like a Streisand effect. It'd be the dumbest political move ever. Susie Wiles is not that stupid as his chief of staff, And you also got to consider they've used everything else. Think of the things they made up to prosecute this guy. They had the Russia collusion hoax. They had the classified documents hoax. They tried to stamp him as an insurrectionist. They had the E. Jean Carroll nonsense where the woman was talking about how sexy rape is and she named her cat vagina. They had the Stormy Daniels hush money. Don't you think that this deep state that has gone out of their way to stop Donald Trump, that has made up bullshit hoax after bullshit hoax after bullshit hoax to take him down, don't you think if they had a nuke that was that damning, they would have used that instead of saying that he gave hush money to a porn star? Doesn't that make more sense to you? You also consider if he were a pedophile, those guys don't diddle one kid and never do anything again, right? If he were a pedophile, they raided Mar-a-Lago. The FBI and the DOJ did. Don't you think they would have found some type of abuse materials like child porn on his laptop or something like that? Something that they could have booked him with? So no, I don't think that Trump is on the list. I think it's simply that he doesn't want a depression under his watch. And here's my thing. This is what I've said. Normally, I am a pragmatist. I'm willing to understand where both sides are coming from and realize that there's a whole lot of gray in the world. The sexual abuse of children is not one of those issues where there is any gray. I'm going to say this clearly. If the entire foundation of our government and economic system is built on child sexual abuse, then it needs to collapse. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Now here's the footage they released. Because they've got footage outside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Go ahead. Here's the footage. Well, watch this. So look at the timer at the bottom, 11:58. Watch it jump. Here it comes. 12 a.m. So a minute's gone. They don't know where it went. And the entire thing is supposed to be 11 hours long, but the footage they released is 10 minutes and 52 seconds long. So there's 8 minutes that are missing from this footage. More than enough time to strangle a guy, by the way, and cover it up. By the way, you don't need to cover it up when you're the one doing the autopsy. It's like when a company investigates itself and finds no wrongdoing. Oh, yeah, we spilled all that oil in the ocean, but we checked and we didn't do anything wrong. Don't you find it a little bit odd that we were told from the Trump administration back in 2019 and the Biden administration over the last 4 years, 2 different presidential administrations, when Epstein died, don't you find it a little odd that we were told by both DOJs that the cameras stopped working at the hour of his death? And then all of a sudden, when AI hits a new high, where they're able to manipulate videos to the point that you can't even tell anymore, all of a sudden we have video. They found it. Don't you find that a little, the timing of that, the fact that it lines up with the rapid advancement of AI video technology, don't you find it a little bit odd that that's when they found this footage? Because they couldn't have faked that video a couple years ago. They can now. And then you have to ask the question, why fake it? I mean, why are they willing to lie for people who committed the nastiest crime known to man? Yes, worse than murder in many cases. The nastiest crime known to man. Here's Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, what she had to say. Go ahead.
DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so
It's not transparency. They provided the results of what were left. Because like I said, when you're a big loudmouth who goes around saying before you get into office, by the way, a big loudmouth like Kash Patel, like Dan Bongino, like Donald Trump, all of whom have acknowledged that the deep state, the FBI, the CIA, you name it, are actively working to cover this up. When you talk for 2 months before you take office and a month leading up to the election, the second I get in there, it's all coming out. You give them time to go in and destroy what they don't want you to find. I mean, it's not rocket science. You don't tell your enemy what your next move is. They were probably already going to do it, but you guys going around on every podcast and radio show that would have you talking the same mess about the second we get in there, we're going to roll all of it out. What did you think they were going to do? You guys aren't stupid. You've all acknowledged that there's a lot of nasty people that have been there for the last 8 presidential administrations that are in these bureaucracies that have every incentive in the world to cover it up. You knew they were going to have 2 months to go ahead and clean the house out, to dump the gold bars off the Titanic. Why would you tell them? Why would you show your hand? It's like if your kid tells you, I'm going to steal a cookie from the cookie jar before dinner, you put it on top of the fridge where he can't get it. But if you walk in on the kid and he's already snatched a cookie, ain't much you can do. You going to make him throw it up? You can put the cookie jar up afterwards and make sure he doesn't get anything else. But when he doesn't tip his hand, he gets the cookie. So the director of the FBI is more stupid than a 4-year-old that wants to steal cookies from his mom. That's what we're talking. That's where we're at right now. Less common sense. By the way, Carolyn Levitt, look at this picture. She normally wears a cross on her neck. Notice what's missing. Oh, where to go? Where to go? How come the one time you don't wear a cross is the time you're going up denying everything you said and covering for a bunch of pedophiles? Why is that the one time you don't wear a cross on there, on the stage? Odd timing. You fucking weirdo 23-year-old girl with your 50-year-old husband. What the fuck's the matter with you? Yeah, that's a real marriage. You're not in it for the money and political connections. Very Christian of you. These people make me sick. Every last one of them. And I'm not saying she had anything to do with covering it up. But if you get asked to go out there and take that bullet and lie about something that's that fucking heinous, you hand in your letter of resignation that day. You'll write a book. You'll make millions of dollars. You'll be fine. Speaking of writing a book, if I'm Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer, I'm going, okay. You can't convict her of human trafficking to no clients. Let's get her out. Where are we doing this? She'll come out of jail, and if she doesn't get killed, she'll write a book that'll sell to everyone on the planet, and she'll make billions of dollars spilling the beans. Let's get my client out of jail. You can't say I was a drug dealer if I didn't have any clients. You can't say I was an arms dealer if I didn't have any clients. You can't say I was a scam artist if I didn't scam anybody. You can't say I was a murderer if I didn't kill anybody. Oh, Caleb's a murderer. Oh my God, who did he kill? We don't know. We can go on and on with this. So if I'm Maxwell's lawyer, I'm like, all right, let's get her out of jail. Let's do this. They said the videos contain illegal content. It's a deflection. We've never asked. We don't want to see it. Save it for court. But if you've got videos of people doing illegal shit, go and arrest the people in the videos. This isn't a hard connection to make here. Pull up the next one here of Trump and Pam Bondi. This MAGA Barbie. Go ahead, whatever.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Rubio wants to jump out of his skin.
Sure. Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like
waste the time?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the
Love
JFK,
the
MLK
double speak.
files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
It's
Child
changed
porn
too.
is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the
Where'd it
evidence
go,
prior
bitch?
to it
Where'd it go?
was showing he committed suicide. And what
There
was
is no
on that
evidence.
was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Hold on. Okay, so the Bureau of Prisons has cameras from 1999. 1999. So all you guys with Ring cameras, you're more locked down than a maximum security federal prison, evidently. That's what she's telling us. What you just watched there was a masterclass in gaslighting by her. That was when I got to ask Gene Stothert the question about the streetcar and how 2/3 of people in Omaha opposed it, she responded in the same way. She flipped it, came up with information of her own that you had no way to verify, and it was your word against hers, came back at you with a really cold, snappy voice, and stared you down in that bitchy little tone. And dressed you down with that bitchy little tone, excuse me. Did you see how she did that? The way she flipped that on him? On the reporter? Like she made it like it was all child porn. What, do you want to see child porn, you sicko? No, a couple months ago, it was people with the kids on the island. None of us wanted to see it. Why are you guys deflecting to that? Why are you intentionally misrepresenting what we're saying? We didn't ask to see it. I didn't ask you to download it to everyone's phone like the U2 album a couple of years ago. That's not what we're saying. We're saying if there's videos, and they realize that because the press secretary fucked up earlier in the day with the video we played earlier. They realized that. So now it's not videos of people abusing kids. Now it's just shit he had downloaded off the internet, which I'm sure he did have stuff like that on his computer. But that wasn't all of it. You know it. Your press secretary knows it because she said it. Your FBI knows it. But you're going to sit here and gaslight it. I also love how Trump tries to play it off. Are we still talking about the richest and most powerful people being involved in a global pedophile blackmail scandal? Are we still on this? Seriously? Don't you have anything better to talk about? He's like acting like his wife brought something. Like, do you remember that time you got drunk at my cousin Christy's wedding and you threw up on my uncle? Oh my God, it was 7 years ago. That's what he's treating it like. Oh my goodness. This is I mean, what I expected from the previous administration. It really is. I mean, this is the kind of gaslighting. Like, do you think they called up Karine Jean-Pierre and all this, all the folks at the Biden administration? They're like, all right, we need a quick little crash course on how to gaslight people in front of the press. What do we do? Rubio was uncomfortable. He wanted to crawl out of his skin. I haven't seen him that uncomfortable since Zelensky had that meeting in the White House and Trump and Vance got into a shouting match with him. Rubio did not want to be there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What does he do? Like, why is he there for everything?
He's the Secretary of State.
Oh.
So he's one of the next in line in the pecking order to be president. So yeah, he's there for everything. He handles a lot of foreign negotiation stuff like that. He's kind of also just like your statesman, well-spoken, polished, good-looking guy, that kind of thing. So, well, Elon Musk said that he's now said that Trump and Steve Bannon are both on it. And he's also saying that his new political party, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is going to prioritize the Epstein list. Here's my question with that. evidently your founder has seen the list because he's now said that 2 people are on it definitively. So why not do it now? I mean, what better way to gain steam for your new political party than to come out and just go, yep, we got the Epstein list here. Here it is. You know, we're seeing people like Jack Posobiec and all these folks that got called to the White House and given the binders for the phase 1 rollout. Remember that we freaked out about because they made a mockery of it. These people are now tweeting, where's the list? Where's the documents? I don't know. Why don't you guys show us what's in the binders they gave you? Let's start there. You know more. Don't ask me. You know more than I do. Here's the worst part about this, though. Because I don't think Kash Patel and Bongino are swamp creatures. I don't. I think the worst part about this is that those 2 guys got in there and they actually did a lot of
big,
good.
stupid, ugly ogre.
That was a good one. It wasn't Fetterman, though. But that was but they did a good job when they got in there. And they really have run out a lot of what I call institutional rot in the FBI. That's an objective fact. They've shut down a lot of the woke DEI crap. They've cut wasteful spending. They've prioritized agents out in the field and going out and busting crimes. You can look at this. I mean, they've busted over the last couple months hundreds of human traffickers and child pornographers. By the way, they've saved hundreds of missing kids. Those are real things that you can track. Those are, again, that pisses me off because it means the previous administration could have done it and they just didn't care to over the last 4 years. So do with that what you will. They've also prioritized sending additional agents out to the Indian reservations and figuring out why so many indigenous women go missing in this country, never to be found again. They're in terms of how they investigate crimes in the field, they're objectively doing a good job. They're bringing attention to issues that have been ignored for far too long in this country from a criminal justice perspective. The problem with that, though, is they fucked up the one thing they couldn't have afforded to fuck up. All the good they've done, that they could eliminate crime as a whole in this country over the next 4 years. And it won't matter because their legacy is now overshadowed by this. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino had the opportunity to go down as legends in the FBI in terms of like the FBI Hall of Fame, I guess you can call it. But none of it matters now because they squandered this opportunity. This is now all anyone's going to talk about when they come up. This is their legacy. I think the best thing you can do at this point is fire both of them and replace them with someone else who's going to continue their policies so he can take the credit for it. Because I'm dead serious. This is inexcusable. It's indefensible. But I do take things on a case-by-case basis. The other things they've done a good job with. Violent crime is at its lowest point in the last 5 years since you saw that post-COVID spike, post-George Floyd rally spike. They've done a good job at actually providing resources to agents in the field to go out and fight these crimes and investigate. But none of it matters now. That's been our lead topic. Stay tuned. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up next. All right. And before we do trending this week, let's do store brand TMZ real quick. Let's have some fun here.
Justin Bieber!
Well, The Economist, which is a political polling company, they're the ones that call and text you and say, what's your favorability opinion of Donald Trump, of J.D. Vance, of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, you name it. And they'll ask you some other questions like, if the election was held today, who would you vote for, so-and-so or so-and-so? They ran an interesting poll. So, Mia, you know how they do the presidential approval ratings, right? They say, what's your opinion, or do you view Donald Trump favorably or unfavorably? Well, they ran a poll They called up a couple hundred people, this serious polling company that's backed by millions of dollars, Economist and YouGov, and they said, how do you view Sean P. Diddy Combs? Favorably or unfavorably? 91% said unfavorably. So P. Diddy has beaten the Joe Biden lows. 3% said favorable, and 6% said they were undecided. They were still on the fence about this Diddy guy.
I'm more concerned about the people who were undecided.
Undecided. Well, because you know the 3% that said favorable were people like me that wanted to fuck with their results. Because I tell you, if you called me, a serious political pollster called me and said, hey, what do you think about Diddy? I would tell you I viewed him favorably, even though it's not true. I would do it just to fuck with him. So there's 3% of people that just fucked with him. Why would they run this poll, though? Like, what? What's the next one? How do you view Osama bin Laden? How do you view Satan? Favorably or unfavorably? They both probably beat P. Diddy, honestly. There's a bunch of retards that think Osama bin Laden was a good guy and whatever. I just want, like, is P. Diddy gearing up for a run for president? And he's like testing the waters. He's thinking it through, like, hey, let's get this rolling here. All right, next up, Nebraska football coach, former Nebraska football coach Scott Frost is in the news. They had Big 12 Media Day. And as we all know, Scott Frost was a disaster at Nebraska, an objective disaster. The Joe Biden of football coaches. Went 16-31, and if you listen to a lot of the rumors going around, he was allegedly more focused on bartenders than, you know, co-ed bartenders, like 21-year-old chicks, than studying film. He was taking some night classes in human anatomy at the university there. He was helping tutor some young girls there. Some legal girls, but young. And they asked Scott Frost. He's made a couple of comments recently, but they asked him at Media Day. They said, hey, what did you learn from your stint at Nebraska? And Frost said, don't take the wrong job. He said I wouldn't leave UCF unless it was someplace you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier. Okay, so first off, no one believes this. No one believes this. Like, how much of a bitch are you that you got pulled? You got bullied. They pointed a gun at Scott Frost and said, please take our $20 million. You have to come here. Maybe Scott Frost was on the Epstein list and they blackmailed him with it. That was a joke, by the way. I don't actually think he was on it. The girls Scott allegedly cheated on his wife with were all of legal age. Okay. Hey, Scott, how about this? How about if you do take a job, don't spend more time partying and playing Golden Tee than you do actually working? There's a good idea. That's a novel concept. You could start with that. I mean, this guy is... Here's why he's going to fail at his next job. It's because he's incapable of taking responsibility for anything. It's not the wrong job. You were the wrong hire. It's you. Hi, you're the problem. It's you. Plenty of other coaches before you and after you, even Mike Riley, who we all hated, managed to not only have a better record than you, but not drink like a fish while they were here, not party like a degenerate. So until you start taking responsibility for yourself, this misery and failure is going to follow you everywhere, Scott. Scotch Frost. Should have had a margarita for this segment. Damn it. No, I can't handle one of your margaritas. That'll fucking send me to another planet. My God. Well, the new college football game came out this week, though. So I think what I'm going to do Saturday is I'm going to get a 12-pack of Cayman Jack, margarita in a can, and crush them. then go try to play as Nebraska. I'm going to be in Scott Frost mode, where you try to play drunk. Now, I didn't get the pre-order, which comes with the pregnant golf cart girl expansion pack. So I'm not going to be able to do that, where you have to choose. You have to use some of your experience points. Do you raise the child in silence or pay for an abortion? Like, you have to make those. It's a very difficult game you play in the Scott Frost career mode. So I can't wait to get that downloaded and go play it. All right, we got one more here. Will Compton is a former Nebraska football player. He now runs a very popular podcast called Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewin, who is a former offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans and the University of Michigan. So on Barstool Sports, they talk football, they talk social commentary, pop culture, all that stuff. Well, they were at an event called Tight End U that they helped put on, and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were there, and they posed for a picture, and Taylor's fans got angry. Go ahead, pull it up here. This is Daily Mail. It says Taylor Swift was just being a good sport. MAGA podcaster says of photo that enraged her fans. Taylor Swift was just being one of the boys when she posed with Will Compton. The former NFL star, now MAGA podcaster, said he asked her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, to set up a photo op after the surprise performance in Nashville last month with a viral image of Taylor hanging out with Compton, and fellow ex-footballer Taylor Lewin enraged her Donald Trump-hating fans. For context, Bussin' with the Boys interviewed Donald Trump. They didn't endorse him. They interviewed him during the election cycle. They would have interviewed Kamala Harris, but just like she did to Rogan, she had all these crazy stipulations. It's not our fault. The only you can take that down. The only podcast Kamala Harris was willing to go on was the Call Her Daddy show. It's crazy. They talk, we're struggling with young men. We're struggling with young men. We're struggling with young men. Then they won't go on any of the most popular podcasts, all of which extended an open invite to her. But they wonder, Trump went around to an undecided demographic and put himself right in front of them, and that's why he won. That demographic certainly wasn't going to vote for Harris, but they were considering staying home or voting third party. Trump got in front of them and won them over. Kamala Harris thought she was too good for it. She needed a safe environment. She went on the Call Her Daddy. By the way, can we safely assume that 99% of the people who listened to Call Her Daddy were already going to vote for Harris? It's not like that won her any votes. Oh, congratulations. You've got a bunch of SSRI-induced HR professionals.
No, I listen to it every now and then if they have someone on that I want to.
But you're not a regular listener.
No, if there's someone on that I want to listen to, I will. But not every week, like when they had Bethany Joy Lenz or they had someone from Grey's Anatomy on.
I think that was the last show they did was with her.
Oh, was that the last one?
Was with Kamala. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't? Anyway, it's not Will Compton's fault that your dumbass candidate was too fucking drunk to sit up for an hour and a half and do an interview where somebody might actually ask her a tough question. That's not his fault. He's not a MAGA anything. Because he interviewed a guy. We interviewed Dan Osborne. I think it's safe to say I wasn't a Dan Osborne supporter during the election cycle. We got more on that. We're going to talk about it in Trending this week. That's Ben Storbrand, TMZ. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, and before we get into Trending this week, Mia had to say something. What did you want to say? I didn't realize it before I ended the segment. I didn't see she had the mic in her hand.
Oh, no, it's nothing really. I was just going to say that I don't think there was a lot of Taylor Swift fans complaining about it.
Not a lot?
No.
Well, in the groups I've infiltrated, I didn't see any.
Yeah, I'm in a bunch of Taylor Swift groups and I'm on like Taylor Swift TikTok. I didn't see this is literally like the first time I'm seeing anyone complaining about it. So it's
Maybe the
probably,
Daily Mail was just fishing for a story.
yeah,
on
they
a
probably
slow
were.
news
It's
day.
probably like 5 people complaining and
Yeah.
they like ran with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there were like that many.
I love being in the Taylor Swift Facebook groups because every time she does something, I will like bring Trump into it and they freak the fuck out. Like when she got all her music back, I was like, thank God President Trump got elected so he could broker this deal. And they lost it about how I just believe whatever I read on the internet and blah, 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 blah. All right, before we get into trending this week, shout out to our sponsors, Tactilian, TACTILIAN.com with the promo code BASED, BASED. Like the title of the show, you'll save 15% off your order at the checkout on gifts for the Patriot in your life. What better way to celebrate, maybe a little late, a little belated, the 4th of July than spending money on pro-America decor for your home and office, decals for your vehicle, accessories for your dog, and even apparel for you. Go check it out right now. And the best part is a portion of the proceeds are going to go to help build homes for wounded veterans. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com. With the promo code BASE, you'll save 15% off your order at the checkout. Founded by a former member of law enforcement. Like I said, it is pivotal that you support brands with a similar worldview to your own. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com. With the promo code BASED, BASED, like the title of the show, you're going to save 15% off your order at the checkout. All right, well, the big, beautiful bill. We were gone when it passed. We were gone as, once again, just like we saw with the tariffs, all the brokest people you knew came out and had big opinions on how to fix the country's economic issues. They can't fix their own economic issues. They paid $793 in late fees to Klarna last year. But they know how the country's however many $1 trillion budget should be balanced. They've got that figured out. Nobody knows how the country should be run better than your cousin Shane, who has negative $15.63 in his bank account right now. Shane has the answer. The man, you guys don't understand. Jessica, that you went to high school with, that's big into crystals and has the tapestry all over her bedroom. It's the patriarchy's fault that she's poor, not the fact that she drinks all of her income away every Saturday night. If she had a $3 trillion budget, she would know how to manage it. Right? You know what part of the problem is that with the reactions I saw to this bill? The biggest problem is that budget cuts have become a naughty word to a lot of people my age and younger. That were, I guess, a naughty phrase in this case. But we've sent the message to people that cutting the federal budget equals bad. Doesn't matter what they're cutting. Cutting the budget is a bad thing. Eliminating waste is a bad thing. And as a result, that carries over into people's personal lives. Every month, we hear about Americans can go into debt a different way for something new. Like you can finance your DoorDash order on Klarna because you couldn't afford the $33 at Taco Bell. And Lord knows you weren't going to drive and just pay $7 at Taco Bell rather than financing it on DoorDash. But I digress. You hear about credit card debt hits a new high in this country, it seems like every month, and people don't want to, because they, just like with their opinions on the federal budget when they hear about cuts, they don't want to cut spending out of their personal lives. They don't care that they're living paycheck to paycheck and one disaster would make them homeless. They don't care about that. They want to spend because they deserve it. Why do they deserve it? We don't know. They can't tell you why they deserve it, but they know they deserve it, so they're just going to keep sucking that money up their nose, baby. Give me some blowing tequila. We're having a good night. What's that Pitbull song? I know my rent was going to be delayed about a week ago. I work my ass off, but I still can't pay it though. But I got just enough to get up in this club. Yeah, that's those are the songs my generation grew up with, and that's why we think that budget cuts are such a naughty, scary boogeyman. That's the issue here, is that when people hear cuts to the federal budget, it has to be bad. No one wants to look at anything from a fiscally responsible point of view when we're talking about the federal government, because no one looks at things from a fiscally responsible point of view when they talk about their own budget. So this is a micro habit that's being passed on to the macro. I'm serious. I'm watching people on Facebook who I've personally watched their debit card to get declined at a Quick Trip for $12 express their opinions on the federal budget. Now, I was a good friend, so I went and covered it for him, because I didn't want to sit there in line and wait for them to, go dig a different card out of their car. Mia's done that. You've watched people get cards declined at gas stations and have to go dig a new one out of their car, people you knew. That's always a good time, right? She's coming back. She had to leave the room for a minute. She's coming back. Go ahead. Yeah, the unimportant purchases like booze. That's what we were talking about while you left, is we were talking about you've got an entire generation of people that's afraid of fiscal responsibility. And I blame that Pitbull song. What was that song called? I knew my rent was going to be late about a week ago. I blame that song for this generation's fiscal irresponsibility, because it glorifies being frivolous with your expenses. But here's what the big, beautiful bill did. The big, beautiful bill, the primary thing it did, well, I expressed my concerns with it. I wasn't a fan of everything. I wish it's hilarious, because I'm seeing people freaking out on the left about all the horrible spending cuts it makes. And I'm sitting here like, this doesn't cut half of the spending I wanted them to. Like, we need to pump these budget cut numbers up even higher. I mean, I want 2/3 of the federal budget gone. And you people are sitting here crying that we're cutting too much. No, I feel like we're getting gypped here. But it made the reason I wanted it, because I was kind of split on it. I'm like, I get what Thomas Massey's doing, but again, pragmatist. I understand the way the world works. The reason I supported it passing ultimately was because it made the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. And we covered this on the show during the election. Kamala wanted to let them expire. And if she let them expire, or if Trump let them expire, every single one of you listening to this would have seen a 3.5% increase in your taxes. For most of you, that's a couple $1,000s a year that you would be giving to Uncle Sam. Now, we just talked about how many people are living paycheck to paycheck and up to their eyelids in credit card debt in this country. I don't know many people who could afford to just piss away a couple $1,000s extra a year, especially not if you live in a state like mine, where every time that the city decides it wants to make a little bit more money, they send the county assessor out to just jack up the value of your home. So you have to account for being scammed by your local government along with the federal government. But this got rid of that. This is permanent now. The current tax brackets are the current tax brackets. There's nothing's going to expire. I mean, let's call this what it is, because on top of that, you also would have seen an increase in corporate taxes. And as we know, corporate taxes get passed on to us, the consumer. The corporations don't actually pay those taxes. We pay for those in one of two ways. We pay for it in price hikes, and we pay for it, if you work for the company, in layoffs, lack of bonuses, wage freezes, all kinds of fun stuff, right? So you would have seen overnight in 2026, if this bill didn't pass, a 3.5% increase in taxes for everyone in the country, whether you made $10,000 or $10 million next year. You would have seen a 3.5% increase in your taxes. you also would have seen record high price hikes like we've never seen before. You would have seen mass layoffs. You would have seen wage freezes. You would have seen the biggest economic disaster since 2008 if these tax cuts didn't get made permanent. The other thing we have to consider is when they talk about the 3.3 trillion in new debt or whatever, that's Trump's taking a little bit of a gamble here, which is ironic, and we'll talk about why that's ironic in a little bit. But Trump's taking a little bit of a gamble here, hoping that we can increase our GDP, because the increase in the deficit is only if the GDP stays at what it is. Trump wants to get it back, make America great again, back to the levels it was once at, in which case we will not see an increase in the deficit. That's what he's banking on, that we can bring in more money. Now, the other thing that everyone's freaking out about, because the tax cuts, no one wants to talk about the tax. First off, they call it a tax cut for billionaires and we all get screwed. It's not. It's a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. It was not a tax cut for billionaires. They put no tax on tips for the next 2 years. How many billionaires do you guys know that work on tips? I'm yet to meet one. I know every bartender I've ever met embellishes how much money they make. They take the greatest night they've ever had, and all of a sudden that's what they make on a nightly basis. Well, no, they take the greatest night they've ever had, round it up to the nearest 1,000, and then that's what they make on a nightly basis. But I've yet to meet one that's a billionaire. So it's not a tax cut for billionaires. Like I said, the 3.5% increase would have affected everyone. So you're getting a tax cut next year when you weren't guaranteed one. In fact, you were guaranteed you were going to see an increase if the Whore of Babylon won. And you also, they're freaking out about the Medicaid cuts. That's another thing. Well, here's what the Medicaid cuts did. All the Medicaid cuts did was bring it back to what it was pre-COVID. We brought that up on the show. You got a lot of people in this country, able-bodied adults, that were able to get federally funded health care on the taxpayer dime without going to work. And we said, hey, that's ridiculous. So here's what Medicaid did. Medicaid is the four big cuts. We're no longer going to provide it to illegal immigrants. I know, the horror. People who sneak into this country can't just get medical care for free on our dime. What a monster, right? The second thing they were going to do is this bill makes it so that the taxpayers no longer pay off the debt that Medicaid patients leave. So, for instance, Medicaid doesn't always pay for everything. So if you go to the doctor and Medicaid pays what they cover, and then you have a bill and you just decide not to pay that bill, the taxpayers pay 60% of that. The federal government pays 60% of that, and then the hospital probably just writes the rest of it off and sells it to collections and is done with it. That's done. We're not doing that anymore. So you're still responsible for your portion of the bill. And do you know what happened when they did that? The same thing the universities did. As it turns out, when private businesses learn that they get a blank check from the government, they jack your prices up. So these hospitals and these doctors' clinics, they go, oh, we're dealing with somebody from Medicaid. Let's charge them twice as much as we would somebody on private insurance, because they're not going to pay it, and the federal government will just write a check for over half the difference. Perfect. That's what they would do. So that leads us to the next thing. Hospitals can no longer charge Medicaid patients more than they charge private insurance patients. So when they say cuts to Medicaid, the cuts come in the form of, hey, you're still going to get the same service. We're just done overpay. It's now illegal for us to overpay for it. That's not taking health care away from anybody. That's making it so the taxpayers are no longer getting scammed. The last thing it did, so here's the cuts it made. So here's the pre-COVID requirements I was talking about. If you want to qualify for Medicaid and you don't have a disability, you are an otherwise able-bodied adult who is not of retirement age and is above the age of 18. This is strenuous. Mia, are you ready for this? I don't know how these people are going to make it. You have to be doing one of the following: working at least 20 hours a week, seeking employment if you don't have a job right now, going to school, can be trade school, can be college, just some form of education, volunteering, so for your church or whatever, full time, or other extreme circumstances like you have a child or a parent who needs round-the-clock care and you can't afford a nurse. Other than that, if you want to sit at home all day and smoke weed and play video games, you can do that. But if you have a heart attack, you fall and break your arm, we're not paying the bills. We're done getting scammed in this country. And guess what? That's how it was before COVID. And as it turned out, we didn't have people dying in the streets. Can I say something, though? Something a little harsh, and this is why I can never run for office. If you're an able-bodied adult who's below retirement age, and you're not working 20 hours a week, you're not looking for a job, you're not going to school, you're not doing full-time volunteer work, and you don't have extreme circumstances that make it so you can't work, and you just choose to fuck off all day, maybe you just should die. I'm not saying we round you up and kill you, although I wouldn't be totally opposed to the idea, but maybe you get sick and you just chose not to take care of yourself, or you have some type of event. Maybe it would just be better off if you just, bye-bye, went away. You're not doing anything. I'm sorry, you have to contribute. When I don't have a problem with social safety nets for people that are truly down on their luck. But if you're able to contribute to the pool and you choose not to, you certainly don't get to drink from it. It's not how this works. I mean, this is the only time in history where that's even something that would be remotely debated. Somebody who was otherwise able-bodied that just lounged around and did nothing all day because they're a lazy sack of shit gets everyone else to take care of them. No, dude, 200 years ago, they would have fucking killed you for that. Like, if you were on, like anywhere, like some type of colonial settlement or something, you just wanted to sit around and fuck off all day while everyone else went out and hunted and fished and farmed and, did work inside the house and stuff like that, and then they come back and you'd expect to eat their food, they might put up with it once or twice, but eventually they're just going to take you out and shoot you. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not encouraging that, obviously. But in my opinion, if you have the right to do what you want, for the most part, with your body, and being an able-bodied adult who doesn't want to work or do anything, you've chosen to die if you have a medical event. It's how it works. Harsh, I know. The last thing it did that I don't agree with is it shook up the gambling world. I'm going to tell you right now, I got a great aunt that's going to make January 6th look like a fucking birthday party if this doesn't get changed. But so under the current law, prior to next year, gamblers can deduct 100% of their losses up to the amount of their winnings. So if you win $100,000 and lose $100,000 a year, you're not going to owe any taxes. But under the new law, you can only claim 90%. So if you win $100,000 and lose $100,000 in the same year, you're still going to have to pay taxes on the $10,000 as if you made a profit. Now, that's bullshit. So at 24% federal tax rate, this results in a $2,400 tax bill. So you got to pay $2,400 for breaking even. I don't like that. And what they did here, I think, I heard a theory that this is a poison pill, and they were trying to turn the gambling industry against them. Now, this applies to everything. Sports betting, poker, horse racing, casino, you name it. Professional and recreational gamblers. So, by the way, I'm glad we booked our Vegas hotel when we did for the end of the year, because the rates are triple after this news came out for the same date, because Vegas is going to have to start making money up because this will cripple the gambling industry. Now, there's a couple congressmen, Republican and Democrat, from states like New Jersey and Nevada that heavily depend on gambling that are hopefully going to get this redone. But this is the kind of shit the government does, is they'll take taxes on something, on an industry that people don't even care about, and a lot of them probably don't like, and they'll go, oh, nobody's going to give a shit about these people. Because, I mean, truly, who does care about gamblers? Really, why would you care about gamblers? The fuck those degenerates. Take their money. That's the mindset of the average person, right? Well, that's not right. I don't care. Listen, the guy's he's gambling. Is it a great way to make money? Probably not. Is it the most ethical thing he can be doing? No. But he's not out human trafficking. He's not out slinging drugs. The only person he's really hurting here is himself if he wants to make money, if he wants to make a living out of gambling. That is a very, very difficult industry to make money in. And I don't know. I just don't like it. What do you think? Do you want to see the gamblers get run out?
Nah.
No.
I mean, they're not hurting anybody. Just let them live
Except their
life.
families when they owe money to the bookies and they firebomb their houses.
Yeah. I mean, society, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. Just let them live their life.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the next one. Elon Musk has got a new political party. He's forming his new political party, the America Party, founded by foreigners. So here's the co-founder, because Elon's from South Africa. Here's your co-founder. Go ahead. Oh, I didn't put it up there. My bad. He's from India, though. That's what you got to remember. He's from India. Now, Elon formed this because he said he was frustrated with Donald Trump's quote-unquote fiscal irresponsibility and the fact that the big, beautiful bill failed to codify many of the Doge cuts, which we were frustrated with as well. However, let's not act like Elon has these altruistic motives. He's upset that the EV mandate was kicked out and it's going to fuck his business over. Let's not act like this isn't a power move. Elon got a little sip of having real political sway after the 2024 election and during the whole Doge thing. And he went, ooh, this tastes good. And he got addicted to it. He wants power because they've said, we're not going to try to win the presidency. We're not going to try to win every race. We want 3 to 5 Senate seats and 10 congressional seats. That would be enough to be a swing vote. Now, if you remember somebody like a Joe Manchin during the Biden administration, when you had a 50-50 Senate, Joe Manchin became the most powerful man in the country. He was a Democrat, but he was a moderate one, and everything came through him. Lisa Murkowski in Alaska is similar. There's a reason, because I was always like, Alaska's a pretty conservative state. How does Lisa Murkowski, as a Republican in name only, continue to get reelected up there when she sells out? Well, what I realized was she positioned herself as the swing state. And in a state like Alaska with a small population that's often overlooked, what she did was she made sure that in a close vote, a lot of these bills were going to have to come through her. So even in the big, beautiful bill, the state of Alaska gets a lot of extra benefits that nobody else gets because they have to throw those on there to get her to vote yes to it. She's not a conservative. She's not a Democrat. She's an Alaska first type. And I'm not a big fan of her, but it's political genius. She's positioned herself in a way to make her state relevant. That's what Elon Musk wants to do here. This isn't about winning the presidency. He wants something more than the presidency. He wants to be the kingmaker because he can't be the president because he's not from here. This is about power. This is about having just enough votes that everything has to pass through you, and you have to be able to be the deciding factor in what goes through and what doesn't. What this will also do is it'll guarantee a lot of Democrats get elected. Because I can't imagine, like, try to picture the average Democrat voter that cuts ties and votes for Elon Musk. I just can't, or Elon Musk party. I just can't see it. I can't see it. So federal spending is not their issue. Federal spending is the vehicle they're going to use to arrive at their end game, which is power. That's what this is. This is about power for Elon Musk. He can't be president, and he knows that. So he wants to be the next best thing. The guy funding the people that everything else passes through. That's where the real power is. I mean, imagine you've got a 50-50 Senate, right? But you got like 4 senators that are from this America party, and they all report to Elon Musk because they know the second they don't, the funding gets yanked. They're all going to be at his beck and call. Anything he wants, he can get thrown into a bill. Otherwise, that bill doesn't pass. That's his goal there. I also think that we should all be very, very wary of a foreign technocrat billionaire who wants to put chips in everybody's brain, now deciding that he wants to be basically the one calling the shots in this country. That should scare everybody. I told you guys before Trump got elected, I'm hesitant around Elon. This guy creeps me out a little bit. I don't trust him. This is what I was talking about. Elon wants to play power broker. He's going to pitch himself as an independent, and it really doesn't matter. I don't think that the people, there's going to be any rhyme or reason as far as political views go to the candidates he supports. He wants to know, when the chips are down, will you support me? I remember I was watching a video with Alex Jones on Patrick Bet David, and they were asking him questions about how he felt about different people. You know, and they ask him LeBron James, and he goes, retard. And Joe Biden, mental retard. Then they get to Elon Musk, and he wasn't exactly complimentary. He called him a scary guy, and I think that's the best way to put it. Something about the guy is off. Well, what's off is that he wants to put a chip in everybody's brain. But he gives me the creeps. I told you on the inauguration day in 2025, when you saw that video of Zuckerberg, Musk, and Bezos sitting there, I was like, am I the only one that's creeped out by the fact that all these tech billionaires all of a sudden have this say in our government? Shouldn't that weird everybody else out by that? I don't know. Well, if he's going to go after some independent candidates, I got one he might be able to be his first candidate on the ballot. Elon might be able to throw some serious money at this guy who's running in none other than my home state of Nebraska, Dan Osborne. Go ahead and play his ad for everybody.
Billionaire politician Pete Ricketts votes for historic tax cut for 1%.
This garbage bill hurts work.
Many hoping mechanic Dan Osborne will run. Polls show a close race.
There's a lot of rich guys in Washington like Pete Ricketts, but not a lot with hands like these. We fix their cars, grow their food, fight their wars. Politicians like Senator Pete Ricketts are the problem. His dad worked for a living. Petey? He got his money the fast way, his billionaire family. For 20 years, he's been trying to buy power in Nebraska, throwing big money against Republicans, Democrats, independents, anyone who's not willing to do his bidding. Wall Street Pete bought his Senate seat. All right, what's he done? Whatever's best for Pete. He made $10 million.
Mia, what'd you notice about that video, about that ad?
Some tattoos.
Not a lot of tattoo shots. In fact, they went out of their way to block them out a couple times. Do you understand how much joy that brings me to know that my name 100% came up in that writer's room for that ad? Where they're like, okay, we gotta back off the tattoo shots for the next one because that video was right. We way overdid it. Oh man. Oh, Danny boy. Dan Osborne's back. I guess we got to get another parody ad, right? You want to know the best part? The election isn't until November of 2026. So all of you guys in Nebraska, get ready for a year and 4 months of Dan on every other commercial, on TV, on the radio, on YouTube, on your streaming services. Mia, are you ready for another year and 4 months of Dan? She can't wait. Dan the working man. No, I don't know if we'll mess with that one. We got a good 2-year streak going, though. 2024, it was Dan Osborne. 25, it was Gene Stothert. We need to find another campaign to interfere with next year. Another local campaign to really throw ourselves into. So we've gone after an independent. We've gone after a Republican. I think we need to go after a Democrat next. We need to target one and go real nasty at them. Stay tuned. We'll figure something out. Okay, let's go to the maybe if John Kavanaugh wins, we'll do like a parody ad where we're his dentist. Have you seen Kavanaugh's teeth, Mia? Hold on, let me pull up a picture on my phone real quick. Here you go. Look at those chompers. Meth mouth Kavanaugh. There you go. All right, let's go to the next one here. Amazon Prime Day, you degenerates. I knew my rent was going to be late about a week ago. Out spending all your money. Amazon Prime Day announced that their opening day from last year, their sales were down 41%. 1% from a year ago on opening day, the last time they did Prime Day. Mia's getting ready to go on and single-handedly right the ship for Amazon. That's right, guys. Get on there and help the corporations out. They need it more than the churches and the charities and the homeless people on the streets and the poor puppy dogs in the humane societies. But so people are talking, is this an indication of a recession? Oh, it's the tariffs. It's the blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's any of that. I'm sure that economic times over the last couple of years, people are finally a little gun shy, and you throw the tariffs in as well. I'm sure that's got something to do with it. But you want my honest opinion? And I've made my opinion clear as far as like Black Friday is concerned as well. I just don't think the deals are as good as they once were. I think that's really what it boils down to. I think you look at a lot of these so-called deals, because I remember Prime Day used to be lit. Mia, do you remember OG Prime Day? You go on and get some crazy shit for nothing. But now, you log on and it's like, not only are the deals not that great, you just go on a random Wednesday and any time of the year. And like 80% of the time, they've got it for that same price, sometimes even lower.
I remember the very first Prime Day.
Crazy.
Very first Prime Day was terrible.
Oh, was it a bad? Never mind. I'm not what I'm thinking about.
It was all just trash.
Oh, it was junk. I remember that. Yeah. And then they got like actual good deals the next year because people bitched about it. That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, I don't think that this is an indication that the economy is about to collapse or anything like that. I really think that's what it is. I think people are seeing this. They're saying this is not a great deal. I don't need to spend a bunch of money on it today. I can wait till I get paid Friday, and then in a month, it'll be the same exact price. I think that's really what it boils down to. And there's no allure to it. The same way there's not with Black Friday. Like, I went out Black Friday shopping 2 years ago, for the first time in I don't know how long. And it was respectful. Nobody was pulling knives on people. There were no fist fights, no racial slurs being thrown, no employees being verbally chastised. I was really disappointed because that's like half the fun of Black Friday is the chaos and the violence and the abuse of minimum wage employees. But there was none of that. People were just like, I don't get it here. It'll be online for the same price. So you see all these articles coming out after every Black Friday. Oh, Black Friday sales are down. Well, it's because the deals suck. I mean, people are overthinking it. I think it's really weird. There's a lot of people who are almost rooting for a recession, and I think that's gross. Okay, let's go to the next. Oh, Tucker Carlson interviewed the president of Iran, and he caught a lot of bullshit for it. How dare you interview the president of Iran? I don't have a problem with somebody interviewing the president of Iran. I don't see why you guys do either. I think people should look, if we're about to spend billions of dollars funding a war against a country, or potentially even go into war with that country ourselves, which I pray to God neither of those happen and both sides actually agree on a deal, why shouldn't us, the people who are writing the checks nonetheless, why shouldn't we be able to hear from the other side? I'm not saying we got to agree with them, but why shouldn't we at least be able to hear their side? Why should we just take the word from the government, our government, who, by the way, stands to profit immensely off of going to war? These individuals in government do. Why should we only be allowed to hear from the people in our government who have a financial incentive to go to war? I'm not saying I agree with the president of Iran. I'm not saying I believe the president of Iran. But I think it's foolish to suggest, and it's naive to suggest, that people shouldn't be able to hear what he has to say. I mean, what if we had someone around? I mean, this never would have worked 20 years ago because the media was censored. They were patsies, right? What if 20 some years ago, before we went into Iraq, somebody interviewed Saddam Hussein? We could have avoided a lot of bullshit. We could have avoided a lot of dead Americans who went in there for a lie. back in the 2000s. Wouldn't have meant we agreed with Saddam Hussein, but it at the very least would have made people ask some more questions. The problem with Tucker Carlson's interview, though, is we're not focusing on the substance of what the president of Iran said. People are focusing on the fact that the guy said, when we say death to America, we're not talking about all Americans. We're just talking about their foreign policy, which is obviously bullshit. And Tucker didn't push back on it, which was a mistake. Tucker, look, I like Tucker. I like his interview style, but I wish he would push back. Now, I defended him when he didn't push hard on Putin, right? You go over to Moscow on their home turf for an in-person interview. You're surrounded by Russian mafia and KGB thugs. You're not going to be all that confrontational with him either. This was on a Zoom call, this Iranian thing. He could have pushed back more on that. Come on, man. A kinder, gentler death to America. Come on. Like, if I stand outside my neighbor's house and chant death to his name, and he calls the cops, and the cops show up, and I'm like, no, I just wanted death to the way he mows his lawn. Makes me sick. I don't actually want him to die. Are the cops going to believe me? No, of course not. Of course not. But all you guys sitting out there saying we can't hear from the other side. No, I think we need to hear from the other side. I think if we're going to go to war with a country, the American media has a responsibility to hear from the other side. Because, yes, of course they're going to spew propaganda. But if you don't think our government spews propaganda, then I got news for you, sweetheart. All right, we got one more and we're getting out of here. We're talking Texas. Tejas. We got some storms down there. Not good. You got hundreds of people dead. And just like whole summer camps of little girls getting washed away and nobody knows where they are. Got hundreds missing. I mean, it's a tragic situation. And liberals are, of course, being the tolerant, compassionate left. Pull up some of these tweets from people here. Read a couple of those off. You don't have to do all of them. Just read a couple of them for people.
Ruh-roh, Texas, what you gonna do? There's no FEMA to pick you up by your bootstrap. They gave it all to ICE. Kind of happy that the National Weather Service gave incorrect predictions when it came to how much rain would fall, especially since the best and brightest from that org were let go due to Doge, Elon, and Trump. Texas deserves the flooding. Cry harder. Texas deserves it. It's not awful. It's what Texas deserves. Texas deserves every flood God has spoken, and it hates Texas.
All right, that's enough. That's a lie, by the way. The Weather Service knew that this was coming, and they had extra staffers on hand. They're blaming the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill didn't go into effect when these storms hit. So they had, the National Weather Service down in Texas had extra folks on staff. So they're taking an issue. These people didn't even know any of this stuff. No facts had come out about it yet, but they saw it. I mean, think about how broken this country is. They saw hundreds of people, dozens of children being washed away in floods. By the way, a flood's nobody's fault. Nobody points a flood, unless you believe some of the hardcore conspiracy theorists, at a state and goes, all right, go get them. Like, at least with the gun thing, like, I kind of get it when there's a mass shooting, how you can use that for a political thing. I don't agree with it, but I see how they can make that jump. This is a flood. It's no one's fault. It happens. We had them in Nebraska here a couple of years ago. It was horrible, but we didn't blame the president. It was nobody's fault. Shit just happens sometimes. But when you see hundreds of people get washed away in a flood, lose their home, thousands lose their homes and pets and all their belongings, and your first instinct as a human isn't to go, oh my God, that's terrible. Your first instinct is to go, how do I use this to score political points on the other side? I don't even think we can call you a human anymore because you got a demon in you. This is Destiny's tweet. He's a liberal streamer. Here's what Destiny had to say. It's a tweet. Maybe the kids weren't fit for camping near a river if they couldn't swim. Real classy from that fucking faggot. Real classy. Lets other people bone his wife in front of him because he's a fucking cock. Real nice, right? Here's another woman. She's got an interesting theory on what did it. Go ahead, pull it up, the racism one.
I'm going to say it because y'all scary as fuck, and I don't give a damn. Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a fuck.
Or neither.
And am I sad? No. Nope.
Let's hear her out here.
YT people will have to DIE in order for motherfuckers to what? CARE. I said what the fuck I said. I don't give a fuck, and minds are here with me. We voted the correct way. You reap what the fuck you sow. Just the night before the flash flood happened, y'all were okay with motherfuckers being stripped away from their motherfucking families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with that.
Totally the same thing.
Be okay with not finding Sarah Lou. Be okay with not finding Billy. Be okay with never seeing them again. Keep that same energy because I'm here for it. I am so here for it. Because I've been reading the comments and the shit y'all be saying. Y'all didn't give a fuck when it was brown people. We sorry that it's white people now, but that's going to happen. This is going to be a repetitive cycle going to happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until y'all get tired. Racism cost y'all more than y'all thought. Racism wrote that line? Racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. Yeah, racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. And guess who's paying for it? Okay.
She never actually explains how racism was to blame. Did you notice that? She just keeps saying it's because of racism, but she never explains how. By the way, deporting illegal immigrants and people getting washed away from a flood, I don't think my audience has that many retards in it, but just in case I have a few of them, I'm going to let you know, not the same thing. Not the same thing. You know, sometimes it's really hard not to be racist. You see videos like that. I'm staying strong, though. What you're watching there, make no mistake, that's someone who is seething with anti-white racism. Yes, you can be racist against white people. With hatred for white people. That's what that is. She's going to disguise that poorly, albeit, but she's going to try to disguise that as someone who is looking at it from a karmic perspective. Like we got what was coming to us because of reasons that she can't find a way to explain. Not in a coherent fashion, at least. But what that really is that is someone who takes pleasure in seeing people of another skin color die. There's no other way around it. It's the same reason Carmelo Anthony raised over $1 million. Not because people actually believed it was self-defense, but because there are enough people in this country, and it's a both sides issue, that just hate folks with different skin colors than them. And they like to see them die, and they want to reward it. That's what you watched right there. There's no other way around it. She is a racist. She never explained how, like I said, how racism had anything to do with it. Because it didn't. Because that's an asinine thing to say. She's a racist, and she's a moron. And I'd invite her on the show, but I feel like we could just go interview some Popeyes cashiers or fast food cashiers about their experiences with her, and they would tell us how that interview would go. Because I got the feeling that she probably blows a gasket anytime she feels she's been wronged and owed something for free in the store. Okay, we got 2 more videos here. Check out this video here. Someone said, we voted wrong. We voted wrong. Pull up the Kamala Harris video here. That was solved all of this.
It's a hard pill to swallow, huh? The fact that if you would have just voted for Kamala, that those kids in Texas and all those families in the RVs would more than likely still be alive. But instead you just made fun of her laugh. Well, people were screaming at you that
laugh,
if he was voted in, people were going to die. And look where we are. bunch of parents who can't protect their own kids.
I forgot about that laugh. Give me a PTSD flashback. Again, we've got someone else making a ridiculous, absurd claim and offering no reasoning as to why. Breaking news. People were going to die regardless of who the president was. Kamala Harris, she made some bold campaign propositions, but she never once, to my knowledge, Mia, maybe you can fact check me on this. Never once, to my knowledge, did Kamala Harris promise to cure death when she was running for president. I could be wrong. I might have missed it.
Sounds like something she would promise.
When she was drunk, yes. Yeah, she'd get lit and go up and promise something like that. But, again, your first instinct is to make deaths from a natural disaster about politics. You're disgusting. You're nasty people. Nasty people. This isn't the same thing as California, where you had Newsom go out and say, hey, we're not going to burn, or we're not going to do controlled burns. And actions meet consequences, right? This was a flood. You had additional people on staff ready for this flood, and they probably lessened the damage. It would have been a lot worse if they didn't. Sometimes Mother Nature just gives us the middle finger, and there ain't shit we can do about it. We got one more video. This is Sade Perkins. She is the former market manager of the Freedmanstown Farmers Market and a non-resident fellow at Princeton University. She went on the attack on this video. Go ahead and check this out here.
There's people in it. Oh my God, there's so many people in it.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites only girls Christian camp.
You should probably sue then, huh?
They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white only conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going. Period. And I think
sounds like defamation
that
of character
context needs to be said in this matter.
Why?
It's not to say that we don't want the girls to be found,
No, you don't.
Girls that are missing or whatever right now.
You don't.
But you best believe, especially in today's political climate, if this were a group of Hispanic girls, especially with them being in East Texas, it should be most likely Hispanic. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out
East
there,
Texas is not Hispanic.
this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported, they shouldn't have been here in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. So before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, da, 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 da. The parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites-only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. Once again, this is no shade to the girls. I hope they all get found. But once again, y'all have to understand the climate that we're living in. They want you to have sympathy for these people. They want you to get out of your bed and to come out of your home and to go find these people and to donate your money to go find these people. Meanwhile, they are deporting your family members. Meanwhile, they're setting up concentration camps and prisons for your family members. And I need y'all to keep that in mind before y'all get out there and put on your rain boots and go find these little girls.
So there it is. Again, she's hiding behind some weird sense of racial justice, when in reality it can simply be boiled down to the fact that she just hates white people. That's it. That's it. No one's first reaction to hearing this news, to hearing a bunch of little girls got swept away in a flood, is to go on the website of the camp and see the races of the people in the picture, unless they are a sick, twisted, and dare I say it, possessed individual. That is a broken person. If it's a whites-only camp, where's the lawsuit? Could it just be that it's in a small town in southern East Texas? and there's not a lot of brown people down there, that doesn't mean they're turning them away at the door. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between our area's 99% white and we're actively denying applications from people who aren't white. Big differences. By the way, I hope she gets sued for that. For defamation of character. So yeah, I love, my favorite part of that is she said that it's no shade to the girls, none at all, right? She's not attacking the girls, and she hopes they get found. Well, somebody commented on this after she got a lot of backlash from it, and the media was banging on her door asking for comments, and someone comments on one of her follow-up videos and says, "Girl, you brought this upon yourself. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences." And Miss Perkins replies to that so eloquently. "Consequences for what?" Laugh emoji. "Maybe it was God's will to wash them little cunts away." So obviously she really cares about the girl. This is a sick, possessed, demented person. That's all there is to it. I mean, this is an individual. I'm not even going to say it. This is someone who needs to be put away in a padded room. Remember we talked beginning of the show about how 3/4 of Democrats are probably belong in mental institutions. This is one of them. You know, we've let mental illness and, in my opinion, demonic possession run rampant in this country for far too long, and we need a cleansing of the soul of this country. And I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic. If your reaction is to celebrate the deaths of little girls because they're a different color than you, the world is a better place without you in it. That's all there is to it. So either get help and fix your problem, or go down to the pawn shop, buy the cheapest 357 they have and a little bit of ammo for it, stick it in your mouth, and pull the fucking trigger. That's what I think of you. That's been our show. We will see. We will see you guys on Monday. Unsolicited advice is coming back. Mia, do you want to add anything before we peace out of here?
Not really.
No.
No.
Scott Frost will be on the show taking your questions. Anyway, cheat on your taxes, not your spouse, and stay based.